I'm in the market for a new car. What should I buy?
Yeah. This supercar over here.
Yes.
Have you ever advised someone not to buy the car they desperately wanted?
Yes. Yeah. Baguette holders in cars.
No,
yes,
get away.
Yeah. A baguette holder, yeah. Chinese supercar that kind of jumped. All four wheels come off the ground at the same time. Just good question. Funny thing is you don't really realise how resilient you are.
No, I'm resilient.
Oh, you're resilient. Okay, well, you're definitely resilient. Yeah, resilient
yeah.
systems, yeah.
Good morning and welcome to episode 111. It's the Andy Show. I've no idea where Adam is. He's just lazy. No, that's unfair. Adam is a very, very busy chap at the moment. But welcome to episode 111. And I have a very special guest with me for our listeners. Please introduce yourself.
My name's Adam Gray, and I'm the founder and car buying coach at the Car Buying Coach UK.
Fantastic. Another Adam.
Yes,
but the better looking one.
the better looking
Absolutely.
one.
I keep saying that too.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Absolutely. So, car buying. Wow, there's a minefield.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that.
It must be, shall we say, fun. You've been in this business a while, as in journalism.
Yeah.
But let's retract and let's restart. I read on your website you originally came from Saudi Arabia.
I grew up in Saudi. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So I was born in Stockton. Moved to Saudi when I was 6 years old.
Was that obviously not work?
No. Yeah, they don't start them that young out
they?
there. No.
Okay,
my dad worked out in Saudi.
Lovely.
For Saudi Aramco, the oil company.
Gosh, right, okay.
So he'd been out there since 1979.
Right.
And then he'd come back for a short period during the first Gulf War and then ended up going back.
Gosh, right.
So I ended up moving out there in 1993, 6 years old. And I lived there until I was 13, and then I came back to the UK to go to boarding school.
Yeah,
and that's how I actually met Adam. That's how I know Adam. So we actually went to school together. Yeah.
Oh, very good. And you're still friends?
Yeah, I know. Surprisingly,
hang on.
yeah. I don't see him as much as I would like to, but sometimes I think that's probly a good thing.
It probably is a good thing. Okay, then. So that's really interesting. And then when did your first sort of interest in journalism start?
I always had an interest in the media. It might sound really daft, but my dad, when I was growing up, he always insisted when he got in from work and he was having his dinner on an evening that he'd watch the news.
Yes.
Obviously, it was world BBC World Service out in Saudi. But I always remember him being quite insistent on watching the news.
Yeah.
So it just became kind of like a routine just to consume the news. It was actually whilst I was at Barney School that I took an interest in radio production.
Right, good.
When I was doing my A-levels, and that's what I initially planned to go to university to study.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'll be honest, I didn't get the grades that I needed. I think it was probably for the best.
Yeah.
Because I ended up embarking on a career that, has been incredibly fulfilling. It's taken me to places in the world that I could have only ever dreamt of going and having some amazing experiences. So, I went to Teesside University and studied journalism. Never kind of looked back since.
Well, that's fantastic. Interesting that you were saying about radio. I was introduced, obviously, back in the day, the radio was always the thing to listen to. Yeah. Then the internet, and then you drop out of, you don't listen to radio. You probably never, unless you've listened to the podcasts, I'm now getting pushed back into the radio world.
Yeah.
So I sponsor Heritage Chart Radio. I get to meet Mike Reed, Dave Lee Travis and stuff like that. It's phenomenal stuff. And internet radio has exploded.
Yeah.
So it's really quite interesting that it's come back on that. So obviously with your journalism, you then ran with that. So when exactly was the idea born about the car industry? So this
is a question that I get asked all the time. Literally, if I got £1 for every time I was asked,
you'd have £4.
I'd have about about fiver. Fiver. I'd still be doing the job. I wouldn't be leaving it. I've always been mad about cars, right from a young age. Played with toy cars when I was a kid, collected model cars when I was old enough and trustworthy enough to not use them as toy cars and bash them about.
Yeah.
And then obviously growing up in Saudi as well, there was a real interesting variety of cars out there.
Oh God, there must be supercars and
Yeah. So lots of obviously money in Saudi Arabia, and lots of American cars, which was interesting because they've all got quite big engines compared to ours here.
Yeah.
And lots of obviously supercars and stuff like that. And I ended up. The honest answer is I fell into automotive journalism.
Yeah.
I was working for Reach PLC, formerly Trinity Mirror PLC. And during my time there, we launched a new magazine, and it was targeting quite affluent people, affluent households. So it covered everything from kind of tech to and gadgets, that kind of stuff, to automotive. And they asked me what I wanted to contribute, and I said I wouldn't mind contributing automotive stuff. And they said, well, do you have any contacts in the industry? And I said, no.
No.
And they were like, okay, well, go away and just crack on and see where you get with it. And I put a call out to some PRs, and within days, I got an invite to the launch of 2 Aston Martins.
No.
So yes, I got to drive the was then new Vantage and the DB11 Volante up in the Scottish borders.
Wow.
And I knew from that moment forward, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But that's when the hard work started.
Well, you've always got to work a little bit in this game.
It's a very difficult industry to break into.
Yeah.
And when you're there, you're not there necessarily for the long haul. You've got to keep your place there. You've got to work incredibly hard and constantly keep training and upskilling yourself to make sure that you kind of stay ahead. Because there'll always be, in my eyes, there'll always be somebody else who's younger, who's probably willing to take less money than you, who's probably as eager as you, who'll willingly take your place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got to fend them off as best as you can.
With cars?
Yes, with cars, yeah. Just nudge them out of the way. And I've managed to do that successfully for 8 years. And as I said, it's provided some really great experiences that I'll cherish.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And I think, Ben, it makes the person you are with those memories, with these experiences. Yeah. And I think you're right, picking up on your point. There's always somebody behind waiting to fill your place. Yeah. But I think if you have still that passion, that willingness, and obviously you enjoy it, I don't think you can be replaced, because people will 9 times out of 10 go, you're more experienced.
And a big part of being successful in automotive journalism is the relationships that you build.
Of course.
You have to have good relationships with the manufacturers, to the point where, and this is something that I always say to people who are trying to break into the industry, manufacturers are keen to get as much value for their money. So when they loan you a car to review, or they take you on a press trip, they want as much coverage as they can get.
Yeah,
understandably, because it costs them a fair whack to loan you a car or to take you on these trips. What my advice to people breaking into the industry is never overpromise and under-deliver. If anything, do the opposite. Under-promise and over-deliver. And you'll build good, strong relationships that way, and there'll be longevity in those relationships, and you'll keep getting cars sent to you if they're happy with it. And be open and honest. It's changed a lot in 8 years. It has changed a lot, as I said, when I broke in, I went on that first press trip, and I thought from that moment forward, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And whilst I was on that press trip, I was kind of rubbing shoulders with all these established motoring journalists who'd been doing this for 20, 30 odd years. And I used that opportunity to pick their brains. I was open and honest with them and said, this is my first press trip. I'd love to do this full time. How do I kind of achieve that? And I was told to build relationships, to never overpromise and underdeliver. If anything, underpromise and overdeliver, and also don't be picky and choosy about what cars at the very start you get offered to review. You know, your first press trip might be reviewing Aston Martins, and that is quite peak. But you won't always get to drive Aston Martins. So I went off on my merry way and literally reached out to every single manufacturer, told them about who I worked for, gave them all the numbers behind our websites, our newspapers, and then started getting the odd car to review. And they were just, you know, little runarounds. My very first car was a Renault Clio.
Yeah, so from Aston Martin to Renault Clio.
Yeah, so that really hit home that how special that occasion was. And as I said, that'll be a memory that'll remain with me for a long time. But yeah, I reviewed this Renault Clio and then, you know, got another similar car and another similar car. And it happened quite quickly. Like, I look back and I didn't think it was happening that fast, but looking back it did. Because I was then getting, you know, 2-3 cars a week. I was getting more cars than I could really.
Well, absolutely,
review. But then I thought to myself, you know, listen, this is great, but at the same time, you could fall into a bit of a trap here of that over-promising and under-delivering. So let's scale it back a little bit. So I was open and honest and said, listen, I need to spread these out a little bit further to give me a little bit more time to make sure that I give them the attention that they deserve.
100%.
And give you the coverage that you deserve. And then COVID put an end to it.
It put an end to everything, my friend.
It did. COVID, I was made redundant during COVID. And I really did think at that time that that was the end of it. It was short but sweet. But I'm quite a determined person.
Bit tenacious, eh?
Yes. It's been said. It's been said. So I thought, you know, I don't want to give this up. Let's go back to the drawing board and see, you know, how we can pick this back up. And I went freelance for a while, and it was tough.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was really tough, because of COVID, it really shook the industry up. The contacts that I had some of them have been also been made redundant. Some of them had moved. So you're trying to keep tabs on where everybody's moving to and making sure that you've got their email addresses and phone numbers, etc. And starting those relationships again. And then it got to the point where I started getting cars. Another thing worth mentioning as well is that budgets were severely of cut because of COVID.
It didn't discriminate at all.
No, it didn't.
It really
didn't take any prisoners by any means. So yeah, budgets were cut. So more manufacturers were less willing to send cars up, this neck of the woods, obviously, than the northeast, and the vast majority are based down south. There's a couple that are up north, but the vast majority based down south. So yeah, they were less willing to do that. And I also noticed a shift in their expectations. Once upon a time, they would ask, what are the stats behind your website, your circulation figures for your newspaper, your readership figures, etc. Social media very much became the focus, and it was okay. So this publication that you're working for, how many followers have they got on Instagram? Are they using TikTok?
I know,
because TikTok had blown up.
Bloated up, absolutely.
And even to the point where they were saying, okay, personally, how many followers have you got on social media? And that, I love 5. I think my mum follows me, and so my brothers might follow me. So I did really feel the pressure then. But as I said, tenacious, plugged away, and it got pretty bleak at point.
It would have done. Yeah, it really is difficult out there, and certainly now we are living in this fast-paced world. You've got to be more agile. You've got to be more tenacious to get out there, and certainly social media. Everybody's massive following. I mean, we've probably got about 5 listeners to this now, and that's over 111 episodes. I'm very proud.
And I'm one of those.
And you're one of those.
And I'm here
Mark, you, my mum.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's you're right. That's always been the case with journalism. It's a a fast-paced industry, always evolving, and it got bleak. At one point, I was contacting newspapers and magazines, pretty much begging them to publish my reviews for free.
Right, yeah.
Just so I
So you could keep
keep those relationships going. It was that bleak.
Yeah.
And again, a second time round, I thought this could be the end of it. But that hard work kind of paid off, because out of the blue, I received a message on LinkedIn from Supercar Blondie.
Right, yeah.
Out in Dubai, asking me if I was open to have a chat about a full-time automotive journalism role. And I'll be honest, at first I thought, Supercar Blondie, I've been following her on socials for years. This has got to be
it's a scam. It's a scam.
How have they come across this lad from the northeast of England who I was reviewing supercars, and sure enough it was genuine. And,
my goodness me.
And that's where it really kicked off.
That's when it really kicked off about. So you've obviously gone high, then you went low, then you went back up to high again. No, joking. The Supercar Blondie. So are we still in your journalism career and we're not yet at your car reviewing or car commissioner thing?
I joined Supercar Blondie. I think it was don't quote me on this, 2019 maybe, I think.
Right, okay. We will quote you on it.
I think it was 2019.
One of our five listeners will pick you up.
Maybe it was later than that. I don't know. Anyway, joined Supercar Blondie, and within 3 weeks, I was in Italy reviewing a Maserati with some of the team from Dubai who'd met me out in Italy. And we shot some great content out there, and I got what I needed for a written review of the vehicle. And then I flew from Italy to Dubai for the Christmas party.
Maybe just rubbing it in.
For the Christmas party, which was hosted at Supercar Blondie's villa, and it was just a real surreal moment. Early hours of the morning, I may not have had a couple of beers.
No.
And I was in a swimming pool, fully clothed.
Well, of course.
Should I say?
Yeah.
And just kind of like looking at it, thinking, this is crazy. And then January came round, and I was in January, February. I was back out in Italy. I was away with Lamborghini for several days at a snow driving school in Livigno in Italy. And I was waking up on that trip, waking up on a morning, just looking out, thinking, wow, this is my life. I'm getting to drive supercars, getting to have an absolute blast whilst I'm doing it, and get paid for doing it.
But there still must have been a lot of hard work, Adam. It's nice saying that you're out on these, but at the end of the day, you've got to produce that review.
Different type of pressure, I felt like when I was at Trinity Mirror, Reach PLC, it seemed quite easy, if that makes sense. And then when I went freelance, that's when I really kind of faced, like, not hardship, is it financially? Well, financially as well, but the really pushing to get something going, but you have nobody to kind of fall back on. You don't have a brand to fall back on.
It's you.
It's you. You are the brand. And then going to Supercar Blondie, that's a brand that's, internationally known, globally known. Over 100 million followers on social media, and very good at what they do.
Absolutely.
So, a different type of pressure. But with that comes learnings and stuff that I would never have learned if I hadn't been given that opportunity. So, I was at Supercar Blondie for a few years, ended up being made redundant again. So you went back through all that again, and that takes its toll on you.
It does every time.
Mentally, knocks your confidence. But I went back freelancing. Again, it was tough, but I managed to get by. And then a year ago, I ended up joining a Canadian company called Valnet.
Right.
And I write for two of the brands within their portfolio.
Oh, lovely.
So I write for a tech website
Oh.
called How to Geek,
Right.
about automotive and
Yes.
tech and stuff.
Yeah.
And I also review for Top Speed, which is
Okay.
an automotive publication within there.
Yeah. But that grounding from being, the Aston Martin to the Renault Clio,
Yeah.
but then to Super Blondie, again, that builds character, that builds you as your person. So you take that forward. So these other companies, How to Geek, and again, they must look at you and go, yeah. So it allows you to build up your own repertoire with them. Yeah. And again, all the time, I'm 50 odd. I'm still learning today.
Yeah, of course.
I'm absolutely, and if you don't understand that you're learning, I think sometimes you get a little bit blasé.
Yeah,
I'm
very
humbled
complacent.
and I'm like, God, I didn't know that. Wow, what have I missed? Why have I missed that?
I remember when I was at university studying my journalism degree, and I was told by one of my lecturers that he was quite brutal, to be fair. He said, in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way. He said, I don't think you're cut out for journalism.
Well, there you go. See you later. Bye.
And, I said, yeah, well, waste of the time in this degree. See you. No, so he said, I don't think you're cut out for journalism. You need to be really thick-skinned. And I'm not saying that you're not thick-skinned, but you are very outgoing.
Yeah.
You've got a likable personality, and I think you would perhaps be better suited to PR and marketing. So when I actually graduated from university, that's what I went into. I went into PR and marketing, and I worked in those areas, Marcoms for about 9 years before actually getting into journalism. But I never gave up that kind of dream of becoming a journalist.
Of course.
I really wanted to get into journalism. I didn't want that degree to... It wouldn't have gone to waste, because obviously PR and marketing are closely related to journalism.
Very much so, yeah.
But yeah, I never gave up that dream of one day working in journalism. So I started by doing sports reporting, going to rugby games and covering those, which was an eye-opener. And then I didn't get my first job in journalism until about 2017 it was.
Gosh, right.
And that's around the time that I started with the automotive stuff. So, looking back, yeah, you're right. You can become complacent. I'm as guilty of that as the next person. But as I said, I am thick-skinned. You've got to be thick-skinned to be a journalist. You're going to be facing kind of difficulties, along the way. But you don't. The funny thing is, you don't really realise how resilient you are.
No, I'm resilient.
Oh, you're resilient. Okay, well, you're definitely resilient. Yeah, resilient systems. Yeah. So you don't really realise how resilient you are until somebody tells you or reminds you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was a phone call with a friend who is a unique person to say the least. I won't name him. I won't name him.
Adam.
Adam actually knows him. So Adam will probably ask me who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a unique character, but a lovable rogue at that.
Yeah.
And it was a phone call, and he said to me, hats off to you. You've faced your fair amount and you've come through it, and I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
And that's something coming from him to say that he's not the type to kind of open up. So it really meant a lot.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So at what point during all of this that's going on did you then embark on your own?
The business,
business yourself,
obviously, when you're reviewing cars on a regular basis and you get into go on these trips, you frequently get asked by friends and family, what I'm in the market for a new car. What should I buy?
Yeah. This supercar over here.
yeah. More or less so when it is just the supercars. Yeah. But yeah, I would frequently get asked, I'm in the market for a new car. What's good? What's not so good? What should I keep an eye out for? What should I avoid? That kind of thing. And I was always happy to give that advice and guidance.
Yeah.
Because, I had that hands-on experience of driving those cars.
Yeah.
But it was last year, probably around the beginning of the year, I had a couple of people reach out to me, really who'd come out the woodwork I hadn't spoken to for years, and they'd said, "Oh, I want to get a new car. What do you think I should get?" And to be honest, it rubbed me up the wrong way a little bit because I thought you're only reaching out to me to be kind of use me.
Correct. Not heard from you for this
Yeah, I've
long.
not heard from you.
Yeah.
You know, there's no, hi Adam, long time no speak.
Yeah,
How
it's
are you?
none of that.
None of that. It's just straight in. I want a car. What should I buy? And I was, as I said, it rubbed me up the wrong way a little bit. But I gave the advice.
Well, of course you, because that's who you are.
That's who I am. That's the type of person I am. But it got me really thinking: is there potential in this for it to be a business? So that's when I started researching. Does such a service exist? If so, what's it even called?
Car.
Is it car buying consulting? Buying coaching?
My mate in the pub who offers advice on cars.
Exactly, yeah.
.co.uk.
Yeah, so I actually found out through my research that actually it's a growing industry in the States.
Right, okay, interesting.
And we all know that they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So I thought, wow, that's interesting that it already exists. So I thought, okay, maybe there is something in this. So I dug a bit deeper and mapped out, what services I would offer, how I could package them up, pricing, who my target audience would be.
It's interesting.
And really what my USP is.
Yes.
And as part of that research, I found out that there were a couple of businesses already in the UK offering something similar.
Yeah.
But they tend to be more on not a consultancy basis, but you go to them with the car that you want and they'll find the car for you.
Right.
And that's, I can do that.
Of course you can.
But what I wanted to do really was to match cars to people's lifestyles, to people's needs, to people's budgets. Because the amount of people over the years that have said, I bought this car and I thought it was the car for me, and I've quickly realised that the boot isn't big enough, or, there's no space for the dog, or actually it's too big for what I need, or whatever. It was quite... Yeah. And with the amount of people that are buying cars on finance now, these people were tied into these finance deals for 3-4 years, maybe even longer. So that's what I really honed in on is offering a service whereby I can ask the right questions to build up a better understanding of what the client wants, what their lifestyle looks like, what their needs are, what they like in cars, what they don't like in cars, and to give them ideas, suggestions about cars I think will match those, tick those boxes.
I think that's a really good idea. I think what you're doing is you're reversing it to sort of like say, listen, there's a car out there for you, but in order for me to match that car, I'm actually more about you. So obviously say, well, what do you do? Okay, I have 2 dogs and I play golf. Okay, well, that's the Mini written off then. So it's those types of things that you're coming up to. Oh, well, this is really good. I mean, this is fantastic. So I have in my hand a piece of paper. I have done my homework. Okay. And we are supposedly going under the bonnet.
Okay.
You like what I did there?
Like
Hey. So I have read your website. And obviously in terms of where you're looking at car buying, you've already touched on it, Adam, which I think is great. If and when you go onto these websites, it's massively complicated. At what point did you as a person, never mind your business, if you like, with respect, when did you first notice that shift from, this is not fun anymore? I'm looking for this car and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just confused.
As a motoring journalist, I've obviously got to keep up to speed with specs of cars. I just get on with it. Yeah. But I know to the average person that's it can be very confusing.
It is.
So I know I'm in quite a unique position, that I've got that knowledge and that experience, that hands-on experience of driving these cars.
Yeah.
But then I've got my own personal experiences from buying cars and going into car dealerships. And this isn't me bashing, car dealerships by any means. but going in there and feeling pressure from salespeople. You know, them saying, "Oh, have you come to look for anything in particular?" No, just having a look around, and it's like, "Oh, well, we can offer you this," and offering you that because it's on a deal and it's shiny and it looks good, and the monthly payments might look good. It doesn't necessarily mean that is the car for you.
No.
And then again, from chatting with people and hearing their experiences of buying cars, whether it be private or through dealers, and you know, either getting stung with cars that have got issues with them that were well hidden, or dealerships, you know, as I said, selling them cars or that didn't really suit what they need, but then feeling pressured into it, backed into a corner. So I suppose that's where it really
came through.
Okay,
that's interesting. You state on your website you are proudly independent. So there's no commissions, no partners. Cheeky question: has any manufacturer or dealership offered to buy your influence?
No.
No, that's interesting then. No. So that's positive.
But I've heard of instances.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm saying. This is all just me doing my own stuff.
I've heard of instances where, there have been things said in a certain way to maybe encourage. As I said, you know, going back to the journalism side of things, that, you know, clients, not clients, the manufacturers have expectations in terms of what coverage they want. They're becoming more and more picky and choosy about what they want, and they can be quite upfront and say, listen, we're not interested in a written review of a car, we want a YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly.
To the point where they're even saying to you, if we see that a video on your grid on Instagram rather than versus a story,
goodness me,
you know, that will be better for us, you know. So yeah,
you do get a lot of that, exactly. You offer free discovery calls.
Yes.
Do you think, from your experience, Adam, what's the most common problem people admit in the first 30 seconds? I have no idea what I'm doing, is basically.
That's probably the most common. Don't know what I'm doing. Another common one is, I hate the process. Absolutely hate the process of buying a car.
I do. I absolutely hate it.
Can you do it for me?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. When I set the business up and my accountant said, company car is the best thing for you, through a very, very good friend of mine who's emigrated to the US now, he passed me on to a person that was at the time independent but is now working for Ford. And just like you, I followed him. He knows me. He knows what I need, and he says, "Well, I think this is your car for you." And and that's great. I've got that relationship with him. That's fantastic.
Independent. I've got no ties to brands, to dealerships or third-party services. I'm well connected.
Of course you are.
I'm more than happy to point people in the direction of, for example, finance brokers who can offer competitive finance versus, you know, what the dealerships are offering. But I can categorically say I do not get anything back from it. No kickback whatsoever.
Really nice. It's really nice.
It's actually frowned upon. So I wanted to remain wholly.
I think that's important, though, isn't it? It grounds you and it grounds the people's belief in you. Have you ever advised someone not to buy the car they desperately wanted?
Yes.
I want this car.
Regularly.
You don't.
Regularly do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because obviously.
Just a few days ago, I was chatting to somebody actually, and they said, right, I went, my car's packed in. I need a new car. It happened a lot sooner than I would have liked it to. But, you know, it is what it is. I've got my mind set on this. And I said, no. Just no.
May I ask, you know, obviously you don't need to say that. Is that because you know that person, or have they got a particular mindset on a car that you go, it's not the right car? Because back in the day, there were cars you were told, keep away from that car. You know, the poor Skoda had a hell of a bad reputation. Now it's actually a decent car.
Right.
But back then you were going, don't buy a Skoda. So your advice to this gentleman, was it based upon you knowing him?
No, I didn't know this person.
Right.
But I think it's my experience. You know, my USP is I'm a motoring journalist, you know, automotive journalist. I have hands-on experience of driving a lot of cars.
Yeah.
People need to put their trust in me, and people do, and that's I'm very proud of that.
I mean, so you should be.
And I think that's a good indicator that I'm doing something right.
I think so. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly, yeah. But at the same time, I'm not afraid to be honest with people. I don't want people to make mistakes when buying cars.
Interesting point, Adam, and picking up on something that you mentioned a few minutes ago. When I was growing Resilient, God bless my best friend, who was my best man at my wedding, he came and joined me. And the first thing that he told me is that when he joined, he said, the one thing I'll promise you, Andy, is that not only you, not only me, Resilient will never, ever overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah.
He says, and obviously, from my point of view, I've been running this business 21 years now.
Wow.
So, it's really nice and humbling. Last year, we had a little party for some more things. And I've mentioned it before on this podcast, but one of the things that I feel very humbled about is my customers coming to me going, and basically, in a nutshell, Adam, you're not the most expensive, nor are you the cheapest. However, you've never let me down.
Yeah.
You will be there when I need you, and you are honest as the days come, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
You've got
Self-same
to have
applies,
that.
yeah. Self-same applies. Yeah, no, I'm not afraid to tell people that I don't think they would be making the right decision if they went down that route. But as I said, I ask questions, and the answers to those questions guide me in a certain way.
But to be fair, Adam, that's in any industry.
Yeah.
I sometimes find, and certainly, again, I will not mention my customer name, but I've been very lucky to get a customer that had a previous IT company. They're now with me.
Yeah.
And some of the things that they've told me is like, what I don't understand, Andy, is you're asking me questions and you're providing the tech solution that fits. When I asked the other company, they went, this is what you need to buy.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be not what I needed. But I didn't know that at the time. But they just went, no, shut up, you're not interested. Bang, you need that.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas you're going, no. Why do you need that? So that's interesting.
So to give you an example, so the person I spoke to a couple of days ago, they said, this is the car that I've got my eyes on. And I asked them, so I didn't rubbish it.
No,
I didn't say immediately no.
You said, you stupid.
Slap them about it.
Exactly.
No, I asked them questions first because I was trying to get to the bottom of why they had why in their mind did they have their heart set on buying that car. And when I asked the questions and then I went, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think said car is the car for you. And they went, well, why not? And I went, well, you told me X, Y, and Z. And they went, yeah. And I went, well, this is the reason why that wouldn't be the car for you. And they went, right, okay.
Very similar to what I try and get to me. My customers come to me with a particular solution, and I don't turn around and say, no, you stupid person. I say, fine, okay, let's understand what brought you to that decision. And then I ask all the relevant questions, and then halfway through, sometimes they're going, I've made the wrong decision, haven't I? And I'm like, absolutely, I'm not here to question. Sorry, I am here to question. I am here to question your decision. I admit we may end up at the exact same decision that you use, but unless I understand, I can't guide you.
At the end of the day, I mean, there's got to be a reason as to why they had their heart set on that
absolutely.
Car. Whether somebody else has recommended it to them, they might know somebody who has that car. Whether they've just seen one and they like it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody's got their own tastes. But as part of my questioning, before I offer any of my services, I really drill down into what their needs are, their wants, their lifestyle, their budget, to make sure that what they end up with ticks those boxes. Now, it may be that I might recommend 3 cars to them, 5 cars to them, and they might end up going back to the one that they came to me with.
Absolutely.
So be it. It's their money at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And I've got to respect that.
But they've also got to respect you, because sometimes I get my customers and they do question me, quite rightly so, by the way. I'm not arguing, but I'm almost like, well, thank you for asking. I think I'm good at my job. And they're going, I value your opinion, Andy, so that's fine. And then I always say to journey together.
Yeah.
So I'll put my input in, they'll put their input in, and during that journey, during that conversation, we'll go, well, actually, this one, because you've told me that, maybe this one now. Well, actually, maybe that's not quite what I want. Okay, we're back to this one again. Sounds as though it's the same.
Change, yeah,
Of course
it can
it
change. I could ask them some the questions, and I could give them some recommendations, but they could later reveal something to me
Yes.
that actually makes me go back. And it has happened where I've gone, actually, you know what? And and do I save face?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, go through with it and just push them in that direction? But that would be wrong of me, because
Yes.
that car wouldn't be,
Correct.
you know, to their needs.
Yeah.
Or do I say, actually, since you've told me that, I've gone and I've thought about it, and actually, I think this, you know, slight change of direction, but this might be better suited to you. And I think you give respected more.
I think so.
that.
I think
Right,
so.
yeah.
We're currently going on a bit of a journey ourselves. So as part of what Resilient do, obviously we look after IT for people, single people, whatever it may be. But we're finding a lot that we are moving into a lot of automation, a lot of work smarter, not harder, which is one of the things. One of the things that was really good is that we were discussing a potential portal for one of my customers where we pulled everything in. And what you've just said there about tell me what you want, customer. And they were telling me, Adam, to be fair, but they were drip feeding me. And as I was asking them more and more questions, they were going, oh, well, actually, that might be a good idea. Yeah. So I was adding it. And about halfway through, I went, look, guys, we seem to be going backwards and forwards here. And I just, for whatever reason, I'm a very old person, but I love my films and stuff. I said, listen, think of it. Golden ticket. Think Willy Wonka. If this portal could give you everything, let's aim for that. Yeah. And once you've aimed for that, then we can slowly start, you know, like somebody could come to you and say, I want the fastest, most expensive car. Well, hang on. And then you slowly bring them back. But if they tell you what they desire, then you make that fit.
So as you mentioned before about the car match discovery call, the free 15-minute call that I offer, and that's something that I offer to anybody.
So literally anybody could phone
anybody,
you,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. There's a link to book that at the very top of my website, and
Call to action. I've been listening to Adam.
Yeah. And really, that's my first opportunity, if you like, to find out, you know, where the client is in the car buying journey, whether they have a car in mind. You know, I'm able to give them some advice around the level of support that I can offer, from just giving recommendations through to actually negotiating, arranging test drives, reviewing financial paperwork, that kind of thing. So the full shebang, if you want to call that.
I think you call it the concierge.
Car match concierge. Yeah, that's right. That's the starting point. But irrespective of what kind of level of support that the client needs, the next step is another call, a lengthier call, where I have created a survey questionnaire, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And it covers about 40 questions.
Gosh.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
And it takes about 45 minutes to get through it. Yeah. But it's really, really important to me, because those are the questions that give me the ammunition that I need, you know, to give accurate kind of recommendations and advice. So as I said, it's covering everything about your lifestyle. So questions about, you know, do you typically drive in a city, or do you drive on a motorway, or both?
Yeah.
You know, how do you plan on financing this vehicle? When are you looking to purchase the vehicle? What features are really important to you when buying a vehicle? You know, are there brands, in particular brands that you like? Yeah. Are there brands that you don't like? Etc. So, I that's the next step. But it's I offer that to every client, irrespective of the level of support that they want, because that's the foundations of what I can work with.
Absolutely, Adam. And again, I think it's really interesting. Lots of good similarities. And I think from a resilient point of view, about 4 or 5 years ago, me personally, when I was discussing this with my wife who helped me run the business, I actually found out and I went, you know, the more I help people, it seems to be better in the long run. So I literally said, I went, do you know what? I'll come up with the phrase, selling. Giving is the new selling. And I give a lot of people a lot of time. And I would say 90% of them in a year, 2 years, 6 months come back to me and went, you know, you really helped me, Andy. Thank you so much for that. Can we actually discuss business now? Literally, I spoke to a lovely gentleman. I live in Middleton, St George, and he'd got my name from somebody, and I spent 30 minutes on the phone to him, and he was like, "Oh, you've solved it, Andy. What do I owe you?" I went, "Nah, nothing." And he went, no, seriously, I've taken 30 minutes out of your day. And I just laughed. And he went, "What are you laughing at?" I went, I like a bottle of red wine. And he went, "I'll drop it off tonight."
Yeah.
And that, to me, is worth more
than
anything like that. Because
definitely.
that, being recommended, is just, that's how the business
I
works.
had an inquiry recently off a chap, and the very first thing that he said is the total opposite to what we said before when you said, what are the most common things people say to you to start off with? And as I said, the most common thing is, I have no idea what I'm looking at here. Help me. He actually said, "I'm pretty clued up on cars."
Right.
And I was like, all right,
good.
great, fantastic.
Yeah.
And anyway, to cut a long story short, we chatted. He had some ideas. Some of them were good. Some of them were not so good.
Yeah.
And I gave my opinion, and that was that. And I kind of left him to go away and have a think about how I could support him. And he came back to me, and he was very open and honest and said, "Listen, I really appreciate your time. I think the information that you gave me was very useful. I think you got a fantastic business idea, and I wish you the best. But to be honest with you, I think I'm going to have a crack at it myself." And
fine.
I was like, absolutely, not a problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
But he said, my mum really could benefit from your advice, so I'm pointing her in your direction. Is that all right? And I was like, absolutely.
That's what makes a big difference. Massive difference.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We've got a couple of other things. When you've reviewed in your whole career, I'm not just talking about your business, whatever like that, what's the wildest or most shocking thing you've discovered when reviewing a used car or a financial agreement for a client? Or better, I'm trying to get a little bit of a funny story out of you there, to be honest.
Wildest thing? In what sense? In what sense?
Just something that surprised you. Let's just put it that way.
In cars in general?
Yeah.
I mean, the tech that goes into cars now is crazy. I've seen some crazy tech being introduced and sometimes quite quickly whipped away as well. Yeah. Baguette holders in cars.
No,
yes.
get away.
Yeah. A baguette holder. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's not a car that I've recommended for anybody or anything like that, but I recall seeing the press release for the new Renault 5. So most people will probably remember the Renault 5 from the 80s.
Yeah.
Quite an iconic,
it was.
Boxy shape to it.
Yeah.
And if Renault has brought it back to life, but in EV form. And I recall receiving the press release for it. And reading it had a baguette holder. And that's essentially the headline that I went with when breaking the news that there was a new Renault 5 EV coming, that this car comes with a built-in baguette holder.
Does it heat it for you?
No, good question. No. I think it's just to stand it upright. But
coffee cup holder, I can go with baguette holder.
Baguette holder, yeah. I think that's the French poking a little bit of fun at themselves. No, you wouldn't think so. Yeah. So that's just funny things like that. Cars that the Yangwang U9, I think it is. It's called the Chinese supercar that kind of jumps. All four wheels come off the ground at the same time.
Why?
Good question.
So when you're driving along and you suddenly see a rabbit, you jump out.
You could jump up. Yeah, it jumps. I've seen videos online on social media of them parked at traffic lights in China, and they'll be parked next to another supercar, and it'll be a kind of like look over the shoulder. Oh, look at me. Oh, but yours is electric. It's not as good as mine. And the Yangwang says, "Watch this."
And
it's like, yeah. So
not sure that's got anything related.
There's some really interesting kind of tech coming to the automotive industry. Yeah.
What about in terms of, have you helped anybody recently where they've effectively had what I'm getting at? Let's start again. People, online car sales, Kazoo, Cinch, spectacularly valued at this much, and then crashed.
Yeah.
And obviously there was a big BBC article, hidden balloon payments, hitting all of that. Have you come across something like that where you've literally, or maybe heard of, reviewed something going, wow, that is outrageous in terms of the finance? My son himself got caught by a huge balloon payment that was hidden so deep in the small print, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a grey area because I'm not FCA.
Right, okay, so you can't do.
So I can't give financial advice to people.
Right.
When I talk to clients about how they intend to to purchase a vehicle, that is really just to give them advice around potentially what might be best suited them, whether it be a PCP, you know, whether it be a HP, whether it be a lease. But that's pretty much the extent that I go to. I'm not able to or willing to give any more than that because I wouldn't be comfortable doing so because that's not my wheelhouse. But yes, I have. It's not necessarily. So it's actually quite obvious, but the amount of people that I speak to say, okay, so I bought this car on a PCP, you know, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I went in, I wanted the monthly payments to be as low as possible.
Yeah.
So they advised me to take it based on 5,000 miles per year.
Yeah.
But I've actually been doing 10,000 miles per year, and I'm where do I stand now? That's a big issue, a really big issue. And that's something that I advise people. Look back at your MOT records for the past couple of years, 3-4 years, work out what your average mileage is and maybe give yourself a little bit of a cushion on top of that as well. Because people's lives change.
Of course they do.
People change jobs and, you know, you might be working from home, you know, 1 minute and next minute you change jobs and you've got a bit of a commute or whatever. And that can really change things. I was speaking to a client, the client actually who was very knowledgeable. Their circumstances had changed. They bought a car. When they got it on finance, they took it at the lowest.
Of course you do.
Kind of mileage you could do per year. But they changed jobs and ended up piling miles on the car. And it can affect the GFV, the guaranteed future value, or the balloon payment of that vehicle. So there could be a shortfall. You could think you're in positive equity on a vehicle, which you plan to maybe part X and to get something new, and that you hope to transfer that positive equity into that new vehicle. But it could work out that actually you're in negative equity because the car's not worth as much because you've put more miles on it than you said you would. So you need to be really careful. You need to. Nobody's Mystic Meg. Nobody's got a crystal ball, but you really need to think as far ahead as you can and think, is this car going to suit me for the years to come?
You picked the nail on the head, because anybody nowadays can read something either, well, probably online more than anything, but, you know, the latest, I think it was literally this morning as I was researching this for you, obviously because of the cookies, suddenly my Facebook feed was full of cars, you know, but, and again, you're suddenly like, the brand new latest Polestar for as low as £200 a month. And you think, wow, that's amazing, really amazing. And then you click the link, and I did it deliberately, and I followed it, and I'm like, £200 a month, initial payment of 25 grand. And then I have to do less than 5,000 miles a year. And I'm like, no. There's absolutely no way I'm going to do that.
Of course, you really need to read the small print with any finance deal. I would be hooked in. Anybody would be hooked in. A Polestar, great car.
Absolutely.
And you would be hooked in for that monthly. But then you have to think to yourself, why is it?
Absolutely.
Why is it?
Right, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to touch on, because I'm conscious of time as well, tech in cars. Has it turbocharged the industry? You've test-driven everything, EVs to supercars. Which tech trend is overhyped, the baguette holder, and which one actually changes lives?
Autonomous driving.
Good.
Or semi-autonomous driving is quite overhyped, I think. I have an EV. It has semi-autonomous driving, and by and large, it is good, but it's not without its flaws.
Correct.
Would I put my trust in it? No,
No.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
No. So yeah.
So my current Ford has cruise control.
Yes.
And it has adaptive
Cruise control, yeah.
which I find when I'm traveling down south, long journeys, I find amazing.
Yeah.
Do I use it ever anywhere else on the motorway? No.
No. Adaptive cruise control, is a great feature. Obviously, it differs to regular cruise control that most people might know, in the sense that it keeps a set distance between
and
you.
I can adjust that distance.
You can adjust. Yeah, you can adjust it, so you can make it shorter, or you can expand it, depending on what you're comfortable with, and depending obviously the speed that you travel. Motorway speeds, you need to keep that space.
At the speed limit, people.
Of course, at the speed limit, but you need to keep that space for braking distance bigger. And it's really useful if you're driving in the fast lane, for example, on a motorway, and somebody pulls out. The car will brake for you, and it will keep a set distance. Now, as soon as they pull back in, for example, it will then accelerate.
Yes, and I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
it's
great.
really good. What I don't like about it is that when I am following the proper rules, and I wish more people would do it, pull left-hand lane. Don't just stick in the outside lane. If there's room, I'll pull into the left-hand lane. And then if I'm coming to a junction where a car is joining, and I will indicate to pull out, sometimes if this guy realises and pulls out quicker, the car will suddenly brake for me. And I'm like, no, hang on. I'm supposed to be speeding up. Luckily, I'm aware, and I've put my foot down a little bit.
So I've got a Tesla,
right?
Tesla Model 3 Performance, and if you double tap the stalk on it, it keeps you in your lane.
Yeah.
If you double tap it, it actually also, obviously, so it's like cruise control, and it keeps you in your lane.
Yeah, my Ford does the same thing as well. Yeah.
But and lots of modern cars do them now. Mine doesn't do, but if you have the FSD, Tesla's FSD, which we don't have yet in the UK,
right.
You can indicate, and it will actually just pull into that lane for you, and it will follow where your sat nav's going.
Yeah, I mean,
as I said, my experience of it, there's been times where, road markings are faint and it's had a bit of a wobble, or it's been on the motorway and there's been a slip road and it's gone try and throw me up the slip road.
Absolutely,
I've had to take control and pull it back in. They're not without the faults.
Gosh, no. So, a double-barreled question. Is the average UK buyer ready for EV ownership? Or is the industry pushing the public faster than the reality grows? And recently, how will the government's proposed plans for EV pay per mile influence both the market and car manufacturers? Double-barreled loaded question.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Thanks. Cheers. Yeah. Throw me under the bus, why don't you?
The car.
Yeah, under the car. Sorry, under the EV. Yeah. Yeah. Where do I start with the
Absolutely.
EVs? I'm an EV owner myself.
Yep.
I had tested lots of EVs prior to actually buying one.
Right.
And yeah, so I had a good kind of handle on, what they brought to the table, so to speak. I sold my previous car, and which was a petrol car, and I thought to myself, I can do without a car for the foreseeable because I get cars to review, so I don't often get to drive my own car. However, I kind of got itchy feet not long after and thought, I need to buy another car.
Yeah.
And I thought, could now be the time to dip my toe in the water and buy an EV. And as I said, I bought my Tesla. I wouldn't say I'm a petrol head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I love, the sound that, cars make, and the feeling and the characteristics that they offer.
I'm sorry, I'm really sorry to stop you there. My wife, she loves the motorhead car. She loves the growl of the engine.
Yeah,
and we were driving and she went, oh, and I can't even remember, but it was an American Mustang.
Yeah.
And she went, oh my God, wound the window down. And it
just
purred by.
Yeah.
Because she went, oh,
I do that.
That was disappointing.
Yeah. No, I had a BMW M2 before my Tesla, and it popped and it crackled and it on the
growled.
overrun, it growled and it Yeah, I would never ever get bored of that noise. And I would say, with regards to EVs, that's the one thing that I do miss. They do lack a bit of character. Don't get me wrong. It's like it's rapid,
Absolutely,
and it's lovely and smooth to drive, and it's 4-wheel drive. It handles well, but it does miss a bit of charisma.
Yeah, I mean, my Ford's a hybrid in an electric mode. I put my foot down and obviously the engine kicks in.
Yeah.
My son's got a Peugeot full electric. He puts his foot down, the engine kicks in and it goes, but there's nothing there.
Absolutely nothing.
It's quiet.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much you pick up when there's no noise, the road noise.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah, you find yourself turning the radio up a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So as I said, I knew what I was letting myself in for, and I don't regret it. I suppose the reason why I'm telling you that is because I've come in for my fair share of kind of criticism. Oh, you call yourself an automotive journalist buying
With
an EV,
electric,
with an electric car. And believe it or not, more and more automotive journalists that I'm speaking to are buying EVs.
But isn't it the right thing to do?
Saving money-wise, yeah. I had a certain checklist of features that I wanted a car to have. I wanted it to be more practical than my previous car. I wanted it to be reliable. I wanted it to be more economical.
Yeah.
I wanted, a touch of luxury, some of the niceties that we like, and the Tesla ticked all those boxes for me and more. And I don't regret my decision.
Good.
But as I said, there's this drumming of EVs on social media and online where people are giving them a bad reputation. And, there's been quite a few people who've got in my car with me and being like, I've never been in one of these before. And okay, well, enjoy the ride. And take them for a drive. And they've got out and they've gone, wow, actually, you know what? I can see what the fuss is about. It's all about now. So I think, there's people keep falling back on the same kind of thing. The skeptics, the infrastructure's not there. It is there. And
my son's found it.
Yeah, it is there, and it is improving.
Yeah,
I'm fortunate, as I said, I've got a Tesla, and Tesla's got the supercharging network, which is really, really good. And it is, reliable. Charging at good speeds. The cost's not too bad, to be honest. I've got a charger at home. I'd never advise anybody to buy an EV without having a charger at home.
No,
personally.
absolutely, yeah.
You don't want to rely upon public charging. That's the common excuse I hear people make is, the infrastructure's not there.
What about the government's plan?
The government are forcing us to do this. Yes, I do think there is an element of that, but I do think if you scratch beneath the surface, the underlying reason as to why the government have tried to point us in that direction is with for the best, really.
I think so.
But I do think that the government have made a few boo-boos.
We're all human.
Yeah, we're all human. They've made a couple of mistakes that haven't really encouraged people. They started taxing electric cars. That's put a lot of people off. The depreciation that EVs naturally suffer versus ICE cars is quite dramatic.
It is.
And then this pay per mile is...
I think when I read into it, Adam, that again, listen, we're not political on this program. You'll get skeptics either way. But don't quote me, but I think there was another country, it was either Sweden or Denmark, they introduced it. It failed miserably. It failed massively because people went, no, you ain't doing it.
Yeah. I don't, as an EV owner, I'm just dealing with one thing at a time. I'm looking at the value of my EV dropping, which is quite unsettling.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And then obviously road tax was brought in for EVs. So I had the
double.
So I got hammered with that.
Yeah.
And then now the government and there's going to be this pay per mile introduction as well. And it's making me think, well, really, was this the best choice?
Yeah.
I don't know how it will be managed.
Yeah.
I don't think personally it can be effectively managed.
They were saying that they will fund the MOTs, and every time you go for the MOT, they will check your mileage and charge you accordingly. But I still can't see how it will work.
Yeah, I can't either. I mean, that would be the obvious way to do it. But who knows? As I said, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody can predict the future. I think the government will follow through with it.
Yeah.
I'd be quite surprised if they didn't. I think they'd do it to save face. But I think it might be quite short-lived, or I'd like to think it'd be short-lived.
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
Listen, we're running rapidly out of time. Right. So imagine now what we're going to do is imagine the countdown clock. And here we go. I want you first, fast for these 5 quick answers.
Yes.
Most underrated car in the UK market right now?
Anything Chinese or Korean.
Wow. Most overrated?
Range Rovers.
If you had £5,000 to spend tomorrow, what would you buy?
You wouldn't probably get a lot with 5,000.
Okay, make it 25 grand.
25 grand. Well, there's a lot. Yeah, some really good used cars that offer a lot of value. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to name one specifically off the top of my head. Yeah.
What's the one car you regret recommended or not recommending?
Regret recommending or regret not recommending.
You may not.
I don't think there's any that I've regretted recommending. I probably should shout a little bit more about the Chinese and Korean cars. I just think you get fantastic value for money. Really reliable.
I think 100%. I remember my very first car being my Vauxhall Chevette.
Yes.
And it rattled when it went over 50 pounds, 50 miles an hour. Everything was manual.
Yeah.
Handbrake, windows, mirrors.
Yeah.
My Ford now, I get in and everything's just touch. And that level of luxury when you get into a Tesla, when you get into these other cars that are maybe not the Fords, the big brand names that you would think, you get into these cars and you're like, oh, I love this luxury. I think not now, but maybe back when in the day, I always looked at a Lexus. I just thought they were the most luxurious cars
still,
out there.
Yeah.
And are they still?
Still very, very luxurious.
Lovely.
Still super reliable.
Yeah.
And to kind of explain why I've answered 2 of those questions in the way that I have, Range Rover's been overhyped. I'm not saying a Range Rover isn't a good car by any means.
No.
They are very, very good. Costly. Very, very
costly.
Good. Reliability issues have really plagued JLR, and I do feel for them. So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds. You know, what the next chapter of Jaguar, for example, is going to be.
The cybersecurity thing hurt them. Big time.
It did, and then they've gone through this rebrand, and that kind of is gone
backfired
down
slightly.
Yeah, backfired slightly, and they brought out this new concept, released this concept. Unveiled it, should I say, and it's not to everybody's taste.
No.
So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds. But I suppose the point that I'm making is people are more and more people are becoming brand snobs.
Ooh,
yeah.
There you go. Let's put it out there.
That's I'm confident saying that. The amount of people that I speak to who think that they need to buy a Mercedes, they need to buy a BMW, they need to buy a Range Rover. You don't need to buy any of those cars. No. You like them, but why do you like them? Do you like showing them off? Is there an underlying reason? Would you feel the same way driving a JQ, for example?
Yes.
One of these Chinese SUVs that has got probably all the tech in it that a Range Rover's got in it for probably about a third of the price.
Absolutely.
And the answer is, well, no, I wouldn't be happy driving that car. Then we've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
You're a brand snob.
I know, and back in the days, you used to say that, didn't you? Oh, I'm going to look for a BMW. Well, so you want tyres? Well, that's extra.
Yeah.
Oh, you want this? That's extra.
I just think with these Chinese cars, with these Korean cars, your Kias, your Hyundais, your Genesis, you get fantastic value for money. You get all the safety kit on them. You get all the bells and whistles that you would pay to have added as options on a BMW, on a Mercedes, where you get them included as standard on these cars. Plus, they're backed by 5, 7, 8-year warranties.
Absolutely.
And a brand doesn't offer those warranties if it doesn't back itself.
100%.
So I think that's, it says all it needs to say.
Good. Last one, pet peeve. What do dealers or any car dealers do that drive you up the wall?
Pushy.
Yes. You mentioned that before, and I knew you were going to say that.
Just being pushy. It's a big decision buying a car.
Of course it is.
It's the second biggest financial purchase you'll make after buying a house.
Yeah.
And as I said, I've heard far too many horror stories where people have gone into dealerships, they've been pressured into buying something, they've probably fallen into a trap because it's been shiny, it's been new, the monthlies have looked good, but after a couple of weeks, they've sharply realised actually this isn't.
But
isn't what
that's
I
just the
needed.
industry, though.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh that you go to any, let's say, white retail goods store.
Yeah.
Would you like to buy this? And I'm picking freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes with 5-year guarantee. Yeah, not a problem. I'll buy it. Right. Do you want the maintenance package? Why would I want the maintenance package? You've just said it comes with 5 years guarantee. No, but that's because of their commission.
Exactly.
And they're pushing it. It's awful. But
Yeah, exactly. And that's not me bashing dealers by any means, because at the end of the day, they've got targets and, but I suppose that's what a service that I offer.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't like going into that environment.
I don't.
They don't like being pressured. They don't like being forced to do things that they don't necessarily want to do. They want to take the time. It is a big decision to make. And I say to people, that's absolutely fine. If you don't want to be in that position, then let me support you.
Absolutely.
I've got your best interests at heart. I will arrange the test drives for you. Prior to that, I'll tell you which models you should be looking at, maybe which trim levels, which features based on your lifestyle, your needs, your wants, I think are important to you. You should be looking for. I can arrange the test drives. I can negotiate, a Part X value for the car that you're Part Xing in. I can have a look at the finance agreement. As I said, though, I'm not FCA approved, so I can't give advice. I can review it and make sure that there's nothing hidden in there, or have you set the right mileage on this PCP so you're not going to get stung 3-4 years down the line. And do you need that paint protection that they offer for 500 quid? No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You really don't. You'd be better off going to a local detailer and getting a ceramic coating put on it.
See? So simple things like that. Listen, Adam, what a fantastic journey, to use the word. That has been superb. You've led us down the country paths, then onto the motorway, and now we're parked firmly at your house, ready and waiting. Last question before what you're doing for the weekend. How can people get hold of you? What's the best method? What's your website?
My website is www.thecarbuyingcoach.co.uk. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn as well. Just search The Car Buying Coach UK on all those. If you do go on my website and you want to book that free 15-minute CarMatch Discovery call, there's a link at the very top of the site to do that. If you go to the bottom of my site in the footer, there's a link to my WhatsApp. I'm always on WhatsApp. I'm really responsive. So if you're thinking of buying a car, chopping and changing, whether it be in the immediate future or whether it's even 3-6 months time, not a problem. Get in touch with me. I'd love to have a chat and to see what you thought.
I've got 2 years left on my Ford.
Maybe a little bit too soon. Yeah, maybe a little bit too soon. Yeah.
No, but I will be talking to you because I've been keeping my eye on the Chinese, and they definitely are big people knocking on.
Should have a better idea as well in a couple of years as well. That might go in your favour of kind of where they're at reliability wise. That's the only thing that I do say to people. A caveat with them is because they're so new to market, we're not entirely sure what the reliability looks like. But that being said, they offer very, very good warranties on them.
Well, absolutely. So
which show that it should back it up.
Yeah, but I think everybody wants more, excuse the phrase, bang the buck.
Of course.
And certainly even when I went from my old Ford Cougar to my hybrid Ford Cougar, the same price, but I got so many extras. And I think that's what makes it different. People do want that little bit of luxury. Yeah. Listen, what are you doing for the weekend, my friend?
Catching up with things. It's been pretty hectic. I launched the business in November.
I know it's still fairly new.
It's still really, really new, yeah. And before Christmas, I launched it in November. And in all honesty, it wasn't an ideal time. People were thinking about Christmas. They weren't necessarily thinking about buying a car. But I wanted to get the name out there, get the ball rolling. Since Christmas has been and gone, slowly but surely the inquiries are coming through now, which is fantastic. I've had some really great media coverage.
Oh, lovely.
You know, the Daily Express have written a couple of pieces about me and have interviewed me and asked my opinion on certain things. FQ Dad's Mag as well have covered me. I did a great piece with they did a great piece on me, should I say. The Northern Echo in Darlington as well have covered me. So really grateful.
Nice.
It really means the world to me that the name is getting out there and people are speaking about me. And off the back of that, I'm getting inquiries, which is fantastic.
And hopefully this will help as well.
So a bit of a catch up on the weekend.
You laugh about launching in November, which is probably retrospectively in hindsight, not the best time. That I remember setting up Resilient, and when we finally registered the company, April the 1st.
Wow. Yeah.
April Fool. It's like, should I have done it on that particular day?
Well, the thing is, you're never going to forget that, though. Yeah.
That's why I never forget it.
Yeah.
I always say to my friends as well that I set up the business in 2005 and proposed to my wife in 2005. I've only got 1 year to remember.
Exactly. Easy.
So, exactly.
See what you did there.
I see. My weekend definitely need a haircut. We've got some lovely friends coming down tomorrow. So Michelle's taking the day off today and preparing the gargantuan 4-course meal that we'll be having tomorrow, along with copious amounts of red wine.
Well, if there's a spare plate going,
absolutely.
I'll be there, and we'll chat about cars.
We'll chat about cars. The gentleman that's coming out tomorrow, he is very excited to see my arcade machine that I've got in my bar.
Cool.
So we'll be playing a few Pac-Man.
Really cool.
Really good. So, Adam, thank you so much, my friend. That has been fantastic. I hope our 5 listeners have enjoyed it, or maybe 6 if you start pushing it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We could get more people. So if anybody wants to get in touch, this man here, your car coach man, is here. Thank you very much and have a lovely weekend, everybody. See you later. Bye.